be on Facebook Live tonight at 6, and talking about some of that stuff. Then we'll do stars after we get a chance to talk to Miss Gwen. And I think that's it. So, okay, Miss Gwen, it's so good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you. It's been a couple of years, actually, right? I think the last time was Mr. Jarrett was on here the other day, and I think his wedding was the last time that I saw you.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, too.
But it sounds like you've been doing pretty good.
Yep, definitely. I'm actually at the office today. We're shooting a PBS series, and I got to film some of the segments for it, so.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So, Miss Gwen, some of you guys know, raise your hand if you remember Miss Gwen. Some of you guys that are on here that have been around for a while, she was one of the main instructors when you started. So some of you guys remember her. She is a phenomenal martial artist, a phenomenal instructor. Those of you guys who have ever seen her teach a class or were in her classes, I know we've talked about it. She's an amazing instructor. You've inspired, for some of those guys, a lot of the guys that you were teaching when they started are now instructors at this point, which is crazy, but I know that you inspired them a lot. So I wanted to let you know that she is a very, very, leadership. She is a good example of leadership. I remember when we were really, this is kind of funny, when we were in high school, I was addicted to my phone. Do you remember this? She challenged me for, it was like 24 hours or 48 hours, I could not text a single person. And if you knew, I was probably 14-year-old Rachel at the time, that was a really difficult challenge, but it was a good challenge, right? And so it was things like that she was constantly inspiring and motivating people. And those of you guys who have ever been in a class that she's taught know that she just radiates that leadership in the sense that she inspires others. And whatever she does, she's thinking about other people and motivating them. And that's a lot of what we've talked about with leadership. So Ms. Gwen graduated from Middleburg High School. What year did you graduate?
2013.
2013. And what was your GPA, if you don't mind sharing, when you graduated?
I think I graduated with a 4.2 GPA.
Yeah, so that's very, we've talked about this, a 4.0 is like straight A's. So this means that she was taking advanced classes and doing really, really well in them. And then she went to University of Florida, and you were on a full ride scholarship, weren't you?
Yep, so I was on the Florida Opportunity Scholarship, which was, partly grade-based, partly need-based, but, definitely a really great thing.
Yeah, and a really impressive thing. A lot of you guys know how difficult it is to get into University of Florida. We've talked about it a little bit, but to get into University of Florida on a full ride scholarship is incredible. Okay, and then why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've done since high school, because that's like the last thing I know. So you, what did you major in college?
I actually majored in event management, so it was kind of like a business degree, but with a little more focus on the hospitality industry, and definitely started with that outside of college at the museum that I now work at, but moved a little more to things. So now I'm more into operations and facilities than just straight up events now.
Very nice, very nice. And what museum are you working at?
It's called the Cade Museum. It's in Gainesville, Florida, where I stayed after college. Dr. Cade, who the museum is named after, was the lead on the team of scientists that invented Gatorade.
Oh, very cool.
All the Gatorade.
So do you live in Gainesville now?
Yeah, so I moved to Gainesville in 2013 for school, and then got an internship at the Cade Museum in my senior year, and then they hired me on as the office coordinator, and then kind of just worked my way up to where I am now, so I'm still here.
And so what's your title then?
I'm the operations manager now.
And so what does the operations manager do?
So I'm in charge of all of our internal events, internal classes. I'm in charge of the guest services team and our volunteer coordinator, so lots and lots and lots.
Good job, Gwen. I'm really proud of you. Good job. That's amazing. I knew you would do well. I just knew you would.
Thank you.
We are, and we are really proud. We are, she just said that. We're very proud of you. We have, all of our black belts on the wall, and you're one of the favorites to talk about on there with with everything that you did when you were here, but then everything you've done since you've left our program. So we're very, very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I am going to ask you a couple of questions. And then if you don't mind, if we have a couple minutes at the end, the students can ask you a couple questions and we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so Gwen, how did the Black Belt leadership training at Middleburg Martial Arts help you while you were in school?
So I definitely attribute most of my success in school to most of the discipline I learned through Black Belt training. It's not easy. It's way easier to quit. So just, you know, like you were mentioning earlier, perseverance. Also, I think it's important, you know, your personality kind of matches those that you hang out with. And I was surrounded by people that were also making good grades. And, you know, they were my karate family, some of my best friends. My Black Belt sister, Casey, is actually the maid of honor in my wedding. So the relationships also last a really long time. But I think it's definitely important to hang out with people that also want to do well in school. And that Middleburg Martial Arts created that environment. I also think that as a Black Belt, your grades get talked about. And just in general, I think it's really important that I wanted to do really well because I wanted to be a good role model too. So it was, you know, everyone else wanted to get good grades, so it helped. No one was skipping school or, you know, failing classes. So I think probably the discipline that I learned from it.
Yeah. Well, and there's, you know, that community that you mentioned is so strong, and every single person who's been on here has mentioned it. And I know we all the Black Belts in the studio talk about it, all of our senior belts. I say this all the time, but I think I have heard every one of our Black Belts say something about their karate family or this being like their second home. And it's true. It becomes true for everyone. And that's so powerful. That atmosphere for any leader. Mr. Gourlay said that when he was talking, that you need to find mentors. You have to find a mentor. You have to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. And that's what we have here, and especially in our leadership programs. And that's really powerful. And Jarrett referred to it as healthy peer pressure or healthy pressure. And I think that's a good way of wording it.
I like that.
But exactly, we talk about the grades, and you become a role model for these students. And being in that leadership position does make you want to rise to the occasion. So it does provide some healthy pressure on you to do well and to succeed. Absolutely. Well, okay. How would you say that, you know, the leadership training here helped you outside of school?
Yeah, so I think that talking in front of people was something that it definitely helped with. You don't know how often you get, you know, the chance to talk during a meeting or even an interview, that sort of thing. So getting a job out, like after I left the studio to go to college, you know, that interview process. I was the president of a club at UF and I had to run the meetings. All of those things I don't think I ever would have even had the experience to do without the leadership training at MMA.
Awesome. Yeah, that's, you know, you don't necessarily think of it as public speaking when you're here and you're teaching a class. And we have the whole CIT program. A lot of the students on here are in that, and it's such a gradual process. And then one day you're teaching classes, but that's public speaking beyond, you know, you're thinking about a million more things than just talking. So that it gives you so much. I personally like public speaking, and it's because it's so natural to a lot of us. Okay, what would you say is the most important thing that you benefited from your Black Belt leadership training?
It's hard. It's really hard to pick one, and that sounds cheesy, but I'm really glad to have had the experience. I think probably the confidence. You know, everyone feels good when they're doing well at something. You know, whether it's, you know, somebody congratulated you with a kick or you taught your first class. I feel like just everyone there, like you're talking about the community, everyone there wants you to succeed. So, and they're constantly telling you when you are succeeding. So you just kind of build that confidence. And I think if you're confident, you can pretty much, you know, do anything as long as you go in with the idea that you're going to get done. I think so.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that. You know, in board breaking, it's a perfect example. One of the key things that we always talk about if you're in board breaking is having confidence, right? And believing in yourself. And so if you go in there like, I know this technique, I can break this board, this is going to be easy, piece of cake. it's a million times easier. Doesn't mean 100% of the time you're going to do it, but you're much more likely to versus going in and saying, I don't know this technique. I don't think I can do it. That's a really big board, you know, and that relates to everything in life. If you believe that you can run a marathon, if you believe you're qualified to get this job and you go in for a job interview, all of those things. So very good. Okay. So we have about 50 students on here, and of them, a lot of them are in our leadership training program or our master's training program. I don't know if you remember those clubs, but we still have them. They're going strong. Most of the students in here are on those, so they're committed to black belt. But there are a few that are, you know, deciding if they want to commit to black belt. So what would you say to a student or a parent who's considering making the commitment to black belt into leadership training?
I definitely think that you're going to 100% get a lot out of just a regular class, but I think I might have learned even more with the extra classes or just the extra curriculum that I got from being in like the master's in leadership class. I mean, whether or not it was learning a special weapon form, or even the classes that we got to talk a little bit more and get a little bit more in detail with all of the different techniques and life skills and things like that. So I also think it encouraged me to be more involved and to go to more classes and, you know, be more present while I was there. So I would definitely encourage it. You're not going to get all the things you need just from the basic class. You could probably do it, but I wouldn't suggest it. I would definitely gain all that you can. If it's sitting there in front of you, why not take it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's true. Why do anything halfway? If you're going to do it all the way, right? Okay, is there anything else that you want to tell these guys? Our theme of the month right now, for just a couple more days, is leadership. So is there anything that you want to tell the students that are on here about leadership?
Yeah, I think it's really important to learn how to teach all age groups. I think one thing that I really took away was being, you know, in high school and teaching the adult class, or in high school and teaching the babies even. Or actually, I think it might be hardest to teach people your own age, but I think just like learning to teach the different styles and to be confident with all of them, I think will help in the future. Like, you know, I'm pretty young at my job and I work with people much older than me all the time. And sometimes I have to run the meetings and such, but I think I would definitely practice with teaching all different ages of people.
That's really good advice. And that's very true. Everywhere you go, you're going to be dealing with people of different ages, from different backgrounds. And so having that experience of working with people and the management and the leadership that you learn as a team leader, as an instructor, or even as a student, just starting in those programs will really help you with all of those areas. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up. If anyone has any questions, Master Lappin, did you want to say something?
Yeah, before you do that, you guys just reminded me of something. Gwen, do you remember the first class you actually taught on your own when he was Mr. DeFeo then, when he wasn't going to work there anymore? And here's Gwen, 15 years old. She had been a team leader, and she was an awesome team leader, but she was so well trained that Master DeFeo ended up not coming in, and she had to teach a class. 15 years old, she's out there teaching this class with total confidence. Now, inside, you might have been scared to death. But you know what? Total confidence. And you know, there's not very many 15-year-olds that can get out there and teach classes all day long, adults, kids, whoever. And you know what? We never got complaints. All we got was compliments. And you were so little, and you were 15 years old, and you did it, and you were amazing at it. It was just because you had that confidence and that power, and you had the, like the authority just came out of you. No one would question you, or like a lot of times when we have the younger kids that are team leaders, like 15 and 16, a lot of their peers question them and they don't listen to them because I don't know if it's the confidence or the setting the example or being or what exactly it is, if you could put your finger on it, but you had it. And it was amazing. I still remember that. I still remember that day and you out there teaching and I was just so impressed.
I remember it too because I was so scared. I just remember you being like, yeah, he's not coming. So do you think you could?
You know what? Look at it was like amazing. And then you just stay. And we thought it was going to be a stopgap, but you were so good. You just stayed right there and taught forever after that.
Yeah, I'm glad for it. Very happy to have done it.
But that's is a perfect example of that perseverance. And I think that's where a lot of people lack that black belts have. They have that. It doesn't matter if I, like in that example, doesn't matter if I want to do it or not, if I'm scared to do it or not, if this is what I thought I'd be doing or not. You have that attitude of this is what my instructor expects, so I'm going to do it. And a lot of people learn that, you know, in the military, you learn that or things like that. But I think that is such a strong aspect of discipline that most people don't have. That is huge. That you guys all are learning in martial arts. You know, there's people who recently I had someone take on a job, a task here in the studio, and then they decided they weren't very good at it. And they're like, you know what, can I not do it anymore? Can we get somebody else to do it? And that's not that black belt leadership, excellence, discipline. And that's what you guys are learning and working on. And right now, doing the virtual thing. So many of you guys are thriving virtually with your training. You're still testing for your belt, even though half of this testing cycle has been virtual. You guys are still learning your curriculum and doing really well. And that's all part of that black belt discipline. So we have a couple questions. Mr. Caleb has a question. Go ahead, Mr. Caleb.
How old were you when you got your black belt?
That's a good question. I think I was about 14, I want to say. And I tested for my second degree around 16, I think.
And I think you tested for your second when I tested for my third, right? We tested together, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun test. It was me and Casey, all three together got the test, which was really great.
And that was one at black belt camp too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what's funny is that was 10 years ago, or I don't know how long ago it was, but we still remember that. And you guys will too. A lot of your gut belt tests, some of those will be really memorable, but your black belt tests, you're going to remember the people you tested with. And you look at your classes now, because some of the people you're training with now are going to be the people that you test with. Less than them, not every single one of them gets to black belt. I know of people who start martial arts, it's only like 5% or 3% that get to black belt. So you think about the people you start with, and everyone who has received their black belt can attest to that. Even blue belt, even red belt, you know, not everybody makes it that far. Stuff happens. And so it's a really cool experience. All right, we have some other questions. Miss Becky.
Good morning. So I just wanted to say, Gwen, you probably don't remember, but we started the summer before you went off to school. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first class I took my son to, I was like, these are the instructors. It was you and Matthew. And I was like, they are like babies still, but I was so impressed. Like, especially because I was there because my son needed confidence at the time, although he doesn't need it now. But it was just very, very impressive to see such young teenagers out there teaching class. It was just really amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
We've talked about that story a couple times, and it's so true though. When she like the way she explained it, as I walked in and I see these young kids teaching, and my first reaction is like, I'm paying all this money for these young kids to teach or whatever it is. But then within the first 5 minutes of that class, she was like, oh, I want these guys to teach. Mm-hmm. Like, this is exactly who I want teaching at this age and everything. All right, Luca, what is your question?
What series did you put out on PBS?
Thank you for asking. So our museum put out a series on different science concepts. So if you're really into science and you want to look it up, you can go to cademuseum.org and you can hopefully see me on there and some of my coworkers. So little aside, but if you want some extra science, that's what it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He probably will. Luca is pretty into science. All right, who else has a question? Miss Schuyler.
How old were you when you started?
Good question. I was 10 years old and I got my karate uniform and to start karate for my birthday, which I was so excited about. I told my mom that I wanted to become a ninja. And so she signed me up for karate, and I'm very happy. It was probably the best birthday present I've ever gotten, actually.
I want a free month and a free year.
That's awesome.
And a free.
Oh, she cut out. But that's a good question, Skylar. And that's funny because a free month. That's that's a birthday present that, some of these guys have received that as a Christmas present or as whatever, even going into leadership or masters, kind of the same thing. And that's something that lasts you a lifetime. So that's probably one of the most memorable presents you have. It's pretty cool. All right. The Wardlaws have a question for you.
Do you remember this?
Yeah. I was a T-Bird and I was Cha-Cha. Is that her name?
Oh, I don't remember.
I was one of the cheerleaders with a.
I have been looking for a video of that though, because that was.
Mom has it on her screen. Mom has a photo on her screen.
Oh, she has a photo. Tell her to send it to me, but I want the video. I really want the video of it.
Elena Rankin has it.
Tommy was the little referee, and I was a cheerleader with a bummed foot.
Yep, I do remember that.
I had surgery on it.
That was a world tournament too.
Yeah, we won. We did a demonstration and it was the whole studio was in it. Everyone who wanted to participate was going to Worlds, and we won 3rd place in the world, which is really difficult to do.
A lot of hours of training.
A lot of hours. Yeah. A lot. Okay.
I actually had the picture pop up from practicing at the high school the other day on my memories. Yeah, it's really cool.
All right, Maz has a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Maz.
I just wanted to say I have to go in about 50 seconds.
Okay, well, bye, Maz. Mackenzie, you have a question? Go ahead, Mackenzie. Oh, she's frozen. Do I have any other questions? We'll let her talk as soon as she's unfrozen. Is that the last one? Last question for Miss Gwen. Miss Maya has a question.
Hello, I just want to say hello. And this is Marshall. He's like a giant now. He's like super tall.
All you can see is his head, but yeah, he is so tall.
Yeah.
You guys were really, really small the last time I saw you. What was that, 7 years ago now?
Jeez.
I know, long time.
When Maya is now a 3rd degree and Marshall is a 2nd.
And she,
and Miss Ann has already gone to master's camp. She'll be a master if we can ever get another camp in.
yeah, she was
Because of the
a 2-year test, and this year was her 2nd year. So she would have finished her test this year, and camp was canceled.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's so awesome. It's so cool to see you guys get that far. I mean, now it makes me want to come back.
Come back. We have online classes.
Yeah, right now is the perfect time. Mara is at Mizzou, and she's been training with us a couple times. She's taken a couple classes with us that work with her schedule. She's been jumping in black belt class, which is
I don't think I still know where my dobok is.
All right.
Mara's a 3rd degree now too.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Ann, Mara, and Maya. Those are the only 3rds right now, right? But Hannah and Adelaide are about ready to get there, and Marshall probably pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's so great. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So crazy to think about, but really, really cool.
All right.
Now, did you think you were getting married, Glenn?
Yes, I'm actually getting married in November to Alec, who I've actually been with since 2010. So a lot of you guys actually met him.
Yeah,
How's he doing?
Sorry?
How's he doing?
He's good. He's actually a crime scene technician in Clay County. So he actually
wanted to do that. Remember, you wanted to be a crime investigator or something. You went through a stage of that.
Yeah, I thought so, but I don't think I'm cut out for it.
Well, congratulations. When are you guys getting married?
Yeah, we're getting married in November in a small beach house in Destin, Florida.
Oh, congratulations. Good for you. Good for you. Well, I wish you all the happiness. And thank you so much for being on. That was so sweet.
We do have a
It's great to see you.
Yeah,
Stop
no
by
problem.
sometime.
I know Mackenzie's
Definitely.
got her hand up again. Mackenzie, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? I don't know where she went. And Tommy, if you had a question, you can unmute yourself. I'm not sure if you do or if Benjamin's holding your hand up. Olivia, do you have a question?
How old were you whenever, well, what's your definition of leaders?
What is her definition of leadership?
Ooh, it's a hard one. Good question. So I think leadership is being able to do some, it's hard to phrase. So I think being a leader is being somebody that someone else can look up to, and also making decisions knowing that other people are looking up to you. So it kind of takes a little bit more pressure, I would think. So I'm not only making a decision that's going to affect myself, but then I'm making a decision that's going to affect other people. So I think it's more of a conscious stream of thought to be a leader than it is to just, be a person that's categorized as a leader. Good job stumping me on that one.
That's a good answer, though. All right, Tommy, you have a question?
I just wanted to say, I remember when I was in her Italian Tiger class, and now I'm getting my first degree whenever I can get it again.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you were, I think, 3 or 4. So tiny. It's so great to see all of the people that have stuck through it, though. I mean, it's a true testament that I left 7 years ago and that I'm still recognizing people on here. So you can definitely tell that you're sticking through it and committed. That's awesome.
And you know, Gwen, Kathy just said he's in high school. And I was just going to say, Gwen, you influenced a lot of these kids, these people that are here. You influenced them. You made an imprint on their life and on the direction they're going. And I think that's pretty powerful to see that. Wouldn't you agree, Kathy? Maybe she didn't hear me.
Okay, well, I think that is it for questions. Any last questions that I didn't see people raising their hands? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Gwen. And next time you're in Middleburg, stop in and see us, or text me so at least you can see me. I would love to see you and catch up. Okay. I think that,
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Let's all go ahead and unmute ourselves and say Kamapsumnida. Thank you to Miss Gwen for coming out here, and then we'll do stars.
Thank you.
Kamapsumnida.
That was so great. You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much, Gwen. We'll see you later, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you again.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.